come this far, and Bill, well, he tried to have me killed. If I can give Bill and you any advice, if you ever stab a person, shoot him 100 times, cut off his head, wrap it in a carpet, and burn it, you better make sure they're dead. Kill Bill Volume 2, released in 2004 and is directed by Quentin Tarantino, who has done some amazing stuff. Can we just say that? I don't need to go down the list of accomplishments that he has. I don't want to feed his ego anymore or make his head bigger than it already is. And this film is starring Uma Thurman, David Carradine, and Michael Madsen. It is the second volume of The Bride, seeking out her revenge on Bill, who interrupted her wedding rehearsal and killed everyone that she knew and loved, including her unborn child. So the bride has already taken out 2 out of the 4 assassins that assisted him, and this film shows how the bride takes out the final 2 assassins and has her final confrontation with one named Bill. Bill, played by David Carradine, who, I have to say, if he could just do, like, every audiobook, if he could do, like, ASMR, I would just love listening to that man talk all day, every day. I would fall asleep with him just talking to me. Please, if it's out there, send it to me. I could probably find something online, but gosh, that voice. I love it. And if he's going to talk about the mythos of Superman, I just... yeah, let's do that. Kill Bill Volume 2. Of course, I think these films were split into 2 volumes because the studio was like, Quentin, we give you everything, we give you all the leeway that you want because you're you, and you want these things, but come on, we can't have a 4-hour, 5-hour movie to release in the theaters. We're not going to make our money back because no one's going to go see that. Other than, like, die-hard cinematic freaks and people that just need shelter from the storm. So, thankfully, he split this whole movie up into 2 volumes. The first one was about the Crazy 88 and Lucy Liu's character and taking those people out. And here, this is the movie that we want to see. This is the moment that we want to see. We want to see the bride get her revenge on Bill. It's the name of the fucking movie. But when it comes to both of these volumes, I am definitely leaning more towards Volume 2 than Volume 1. Volume 1 was more, I guess, fight choreography and more action-packed. There was that strange anime sequence in the middle of it that gave us the background of Lucy Liu's character, which was fine. It was cool to see, but there was no climax. There was no conclusion. And in a movie called Kill Bill Volume 1, and Bill doesn't become killed, I call that a disappointment. So here, we get that climax. We finally get that altercation, and I gotta say, I love this altercation. Because if you're thinking about Volume 1 and the Crazy 88 and all the bloodshed and severed limbs in that movie, if you're thinking that, hey, this final altercation is gonna be something like that, you are terribly mistaken. What we get, I think, is actually something much better. We get 2 people sitting at a table and sitting on a sofa, having a conversation about what the hell went wrong. Because up until this point, we are told that the bride, she's our protagonist, and she is in the right. We want her to get her revenge. We want her to have some resolution to the terrible things that happened to her. But here, we start seeing the perspective of Bill, and how what the bride was doing pissed him off, and how those things that the bride did were also wrong. It turns out that the bride left Bill because she was pregnant with his child, and she didn't want her child to grow up in a world full of assassins. She didn't want that for her kid, which is very admirable, and I guess in the grand scheme of things, yes, that sounds morally right, but when children are created, there's a 50-50 thing there, and to take that child away from the other 50-50 person with that combination, it's not entirely right. And I am definitely not going to go down that rabbit hole of children and deciding what's right for them when they are not born yet. I'm not going there. All I will say is the woman has the right to choose. It's her body. What right do I have as a man to say, hey, you need to do this with what you got in there? That being said, I'm putting the lid on that. But I like this confrontation. I like this climax because we get the perspective of Bill. And I like when we get that side of the story, not just seeing a villain as a villain and just a terrible person. There's some reasoning behind what they do. And I like kind of developing my own moral compass here of, okay, what's wrong here and what's right, who's in the right, who's in the wrong. I like seeing both sides of the story. Thus, we get the cool 5-point finger heart exploding technique, or whatever the heck that thing is frickin' called. This is a technique that the bride learns from her master, Paime, who is the standout in this movie in one of the coolest sequences. The bride goes to be trained by Paime, and Paime just tears her down and makes her feel less than, because he's the master, getting rid of all of that ego and everything that she knew prior. I'm the master, you're going to listen to me. I love that whole sequence of the wood punching, the trying to eat with the chopsticks because her hand hurts so much. But surprisingly, this movie focuses mainly on Michael Madsen's character. One of the assassins who killed everyone at that wedding rehearsal is a broken down drunk now who is a bouncer at a strip club. And we spend a good third of the movie just following him in his daily routine and kind of like in a day and a half of his life, until finally the bride catches up with him, and that was a fun little exchange that they had. You would think that the bride would easily get the best of him, but absolutely not. It's the other way around. Rock salt to the chest is all I will say there. But just like in Volume 1, you can tell the love and the respect that Quentin Tarantino has for the grindhouse genre and the samurai sword genre, to the point where it's almost annoying. Don't get me wrong, Quentin Tarantino is a great filmmaker. He has made some great masterpieces. He's a really great writer. In fact, probably the best thing that I like about his films is his use of dialogue. And not just dialogue, but use of language. Some of my favorite scenes in movies come from Quentin Tarantino films, like Inglourious Bastards. Heck, even scenes from here where two people are just sitting at a table with each other. They're talking English, they'll say, I can speak Spanish if that is easier for you, and then the dialogue continues in an entire different language. I think that is really cool, and it's really challenging, and Quentin Tarantino, he's a master at that. But like I said with my review of Kill Bill Volume 1, there is a sense of just ego and arrogance in all of his films, in particular with the Kill Bill series. We know that Tarantino is a connoisseur of film, knows everything there is to know about movies. He can talk commentary on so many masterpieces. There's a story in one of Chris Jericho's books where he was invited to watch a movie with Quentin Tarantino and some other writer or producer. I think they were watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And Chris Jericho was like, watch a movie with Quentin Tarantino? Yeah, I will do that. And instead of actually watching the movie, Tarantino just talked the entire time. Oh, they're using this camera lens. Oh, and here's the story behind this. They had to wait to this time to actually do that scene. Oh, and look at this. Look at that shot. Isn't that amazing? And Jericho's just thinking to himself, because he's not going to interrupt Tarantino, but he's just thinking like, dude, shut up and watch the movie. And he takes film knowledge and film history, and he puts it into all of his characters. I have friends that like watching movies, that like going to the movies, but to see so many characters throughout all of his movies that know so much about film industry and how to shoot movies, it's not realistic for me. It's just the nerdy voice of Quentin Tarantino and his movie knowledge being placed into all these characters. So whenever these characters are talking in any of his movies, I just go, well, this is really just Tarantino talking. And it kind of gets annoying after a while. I am curious how successful this movie would have been if it was released all just as one volume. One straight movie that would have been like 4 or 5 hours, however long these two show up as combined. I think there's like a Blu-ray or DVD release where it was just one straight film. Just wonder how that would have worked in the movies. If they would have had an intermission, probably they would have had an intermission. Just wonder how successful it would have been and if it would have made any money. But what's really cool about Volume 2, and the reason why I prefer this one the most, is because you really don't need to watch Volume 1 to know what's happening in Volume 2 and to enjoy it. Whereas Volume 1, it really doesn't have a climax at all. Yes, we get more of the origin of the bride and the situation, but there's definitely no resolution to anything. Here, we still get another little piece of her origin, and we get that climax. So, I mean, if you're interested, if you haven't watched any of these movies at all, but you don't want to watch both of them, I guess for whatever reason, definitely watch Volume 2 over Volume 1. Volume 2 is definitely superior. I can't remember what score I gave Volume 1, but I definitely want to give this one higher. I'm gonna give Kill Bill Volume 2 3.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I am above average.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part in my videos where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and so far for this summer, I'm going to do like a recommendation summer. So for the next several months, all the movies that you're seeing here are going to be recommended by one of my subscribers, a friend on Facebook, a friend just I have in general. All of them are going to be recommended to me in some way. So we're going to continue our recommendation summer here with Lindsay Montgomery, who goes under the handle of Very Manic Me. You recommended a while ago Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The movie, not the TV show. I have never watched the movie. I actually didn't know that it was a movie until like a couple of years ago. And the TV show I didn't watch when it was coming out originally back in the 90s. 90s, right? Late 90s, early 2000s, I think. I watched it when it was on Netflix, and I think I only got through like season 3 or season 4. I sadly didn't watch the whole thing. But I know this character is based on comics. I don't know what came first, if it was the comics or if it was this movie, but I mean, if this is the catalyst for Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, which I really enjoyed, then I should like this one. So I'm definitely excited to check it out. Thank you, Gemma R, for the recommendation of Kill Bill Volume 2. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, leave your comment below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter and leave your recommendation there. If I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout out on the channel. So guys, have you seen Kill Bill Volume 2? What did you think about it? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Volume 1 or Volume 2? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you saw here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button, and also hit that bell so you know the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.